Hello and welcome to the darkened room of music conversation.
I'm Darren.
And I'm Chris, and on this episode we're going to talk about concept albums.
That's right.
So it's one thing that you think of historically, especially with classic rock. Lots of bands put together concept albums, and we're going to name our favorites. Now, we do have some rules here.
Okay.
The kind of concept albums we're going to pick are ones that actually have a storyline. Beginning of the album is the beginning of the story, and it leads you through a path to the ending and the conclusion.
Right. In other words, one song goes into the next song, which continues the story.
Exactly right.
Right.
Yeah, there are so many concept albums that people name as the best or the favorites that don't necessarily do that.
Right.
It might be a musical concept or just
a theme concept.
Yeah, something a little more abstract.
Right.
Now, the one that people consider to be the first major concept album, of course, was Sgt. Pepper by the Beatles.
In fact, that was the first one that popped in my head.
Exactly right, yeah. That's more about a band called Sgt. Pepper,
right?
And they were the ones performing on the album and not the Beatles.
Right.
That's basically the concept. There's no actual story.
Right.
So that's why we're not going to include that one in our list of favorites.
Right. Another example would be Marvin Gaye, What's Going On?
Exactly right. Yeah, that's more about from a perspective of a Vietnam vet who has come home and he sees all the problems going on in America.
Right.
And each song is about a specific problem.
Different issue, social commentary, but it doesn't tell a story from one song into the next.
Exactly right.
So these are albums. We narrowed it down to our top 5 that actually have a storyline.
That's right.
All right, so let's get started. Number 5, we're going to go with 9 Inch Nails, The Downward Spiral.
Yes. That's about a man whose the downward spiral is his depression,
right,
and it eventually leads down to his suicide and death. So it kind of leads you on a path, and it's quite a trip. It's very heavy,
right,
and I don't mean just guitar wise heavy.
Yeah, and disturbing at times.
Very disturbing. Yeah, it's a very disturbing album. It makes you quite uncomfortable. Kind of like a Tool video would make you uncomfortable.
Exactly. But, good comparison.
But yeah, if you visualize the stuff on the downward spiral, you would have nightmares for weeks.
Right. So, and some of the videos that they were making at that time were pretty out there too.
Yeah, and I heard that, and I've never bothered to watch them because I've heard how bad they are. but yeah,
great album.
It's a great album. I love the darkness of it, and yeah, so I'm drawn to that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I probably like their first album better. But I don't know. I think if you did a poll, the Downward Spiral would be the one that everybody would pick as their favorite.
I think so too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so number 4, I'll name the number 4, The Who's Tommy.
That's right.
Yeah, this one's more about a deaf, dumb, and blind kid, which you hear that in the Pinball Wizard song.
Right.
He's the main character, and it's about dealing with this condition and
and his relationships with friends and family and all that.
Exactly right.
And that goes all the way back to the 60s as well. That album was from 1969. And Quadrophenia, that's another one. I guess it'd be an honorable mention.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Who, Tommy, great stuff.
Yeah. And he actually becomes a pinball wizard. He becomes famous.
Right.
And goes to competitions. So that's kind of the storyline.
Yeah.
And people start using him because of his disability.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, number 3, I'll take this one, Rush, 2112.
Appropriate you take that one for sure.
Yeah. Basically, it's a story about how governments can get too big to the point that they're controlling everything, every aspect of your life. The story was basically inspired by Ayn Rand, who was a big influence on the band at that particular time.
Yeah.
Especially Neil, he read a lot of her books and stuff. And it was basically kind of demonstrating the dangers of when the government takes over every aspect of your life, from what you can watch, what you can listen to, all of this, kind of early censorship type stuff. Well, as the story goes along, this young man finds a guitar and he realizes that he can make music with it. So he takes that to the priests who are in control of everything. And he thought that they would really be impressed with what he found. Well, they took it from him, told him that was no longer allowed in their society. And so he gets extremely depressed. The only happiness he has is when he's dreaming, thinking about all of this great music music out there and the freedom that he once had. Well, he wakes up and realizes that that's in the past. It's no longer allowed, and he kills himself. Wow. So and then eventually so that's basically the story.
You wouldn't know much about it, would you?
I just read up on it a few minutes ago.
Right, yeah. All right, number 2 on our list is none other than Queensryche and Operation Mindcrime.
Man, I love that one.
Oh, it's a great album. And it's actually quite a detailed story. It would make a fantastic 2-hour movie.
It sure would.
Yeah.
Sure would.
It's basically about a drug addict who gets infiltrated by this extremist group who they're like revolutionaries,
right?
And they convince him to join them, and they eventually train him using like some kind of brainwashing technique with drugs to become an assassin,
right?
And,
to take out political leaders.
Yeah, exactly right. And the leader of this group is Dr. X, and he brainwashes him to where anytime he says the word mind crime, that's when the brainwashing kicks in, and he can name anybody, and he'll go out there and kill them.
Yeah. Right.
So he meets this prostitute who is turned to a nun, and winds up kind of having an affection for him. Then Dr. X says he's got to kill the priest and the nun, and he decides not to do it, tries to run away with her.
He kills the priest.
Runs away with the nun.
Right.
And turns out the nun kills herself for some reason. I forgot exactly why in the story.
Yeah.
And the guy goes back into madness again under, his drug addiction. So
right.
Yeah.
In an asylum or something is how it is.
Yeah. It begins in an asylum and ends in an asylum, which is really cool.
And it's done very well. When you listen, it's a very easy record. At least it was for me to listen to it from start to finish. And 30 years ago, I was way into it. And it's funny, I don't really listen to a lot of Queensryche in retrospect, except for Rage for Order. I love that album, and that's the one that my friend Neil Kernan produced.
Yeah,
and that's one of those records that just gets better with every listen. I think it's just a great record, man.
They put out a lot of great albums.
They really did. Yeah, Empire, of course. So.
Yep.
A lot of great stuff. If you're not familiar with that Queensryche stuff or never been exposed to it, check it out. You will not be sorry.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, why don't you take this number 1?
Number 1, I may as well because it's my band. My band, like I'm in it. Pink Floyd, The Wall. Now we discussed Dark Side of the Moon versus The Wall, and we think The Wall actually fits what we're talking about, a storyline beginning to end.
Right.
Whereas Dark Side of the Moon is not so much.
Right.
It's a concept about, just living life.
And same with like Wish You Were Here is obviously about Sid.
Kind of about Sid Barrett,
yeah. But it's not like tells a story in
exactly
essence.
right.
Yeah, it's just making references to Sid.
Yeah. So in the story, Pink, of course, is a musician. He's kind of washed up, tired of the road. You get a brief history of how his dad died in the war, how his mother smothered him, how the teachers mistreated him in school, and his wife is now cheating on him. And at that point, that's where he snaps. He builds a metaphorical wall around himself and his audience and just withdraws and hides in that. And, of course, ultimately, he barricades himself in a hotel room. He tears it to shreds, and I guess he hops himself up on drugs. I mean, he's out of it. He's gone. And the record labels, the executives or whatever, send in a doctor to, revive him. They carry him off to the concert. He takes on this different persona. He's like, well, screw this. If, they're going to force me up here, then I'm just going to treat the audience like absolute shit,
Right.
And he goes through that, and eventually, it gets kind of abstract there where there's a trial where a judge calls his mom, his teachers, and his wife up to testify against him, and the judge orders that he tears the wall down, and then there's a big explosion at the end.
Right.
And,
the wall's coming down.
The wall's coming down, yeah. So,
well, let me ask you this: as a humongous fan, your all-time favorite band.
Yeah.
How did you feel the movie fit the concept of the album?
I think it fit really well. I think maybe it could have been done a little better, but for 1981 when it came out, I think well done.
See, I really liked it.
I love it. Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
Now, refresh my memory, and I know you've made reference to this, maybe even just to me, but was the movie planned all along? Was it a concept all along?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
As they were recording the album, I think Roger was.
This would make a good movie.
Yeah. Well, he was conceiving the stage show, and of course, this is kind of semi-autobiographical anyway for Roger. His dad died in the war and all that kind of stuff. So he was getting tired of being on stage and in front of an audience, and the original concept was we should just build a wall across the stage instead of having to deal with looking at the audience. Let's just get up there and play behind a wall. So as they were recording it, he started to conceive it as, let's actually do that. And then as they were developing it, they're like, this would be a great movie. So they filmed an entire live show. And turns out it didn't turn out the way they hoped it would. And they were planned on using the live show with some live action.
Yeah, wasn't there some issue with the video or something?
I believe so.
It came out too dark or something.
Yeah, I believe so. There was something that about it that wasn't going to work.
Right.
So they just ran with the concept of having a live action, having actors act out the parts and all that stuff. And so, that's it. I wouldn't say that when they first started recording the album that they wanted to do a movie for sure. It kind of evolved into that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, when they did the Wall tour, it was only like 4 shows, right? Like L.A., New York, Chicago, and Atlanta or something, right?
Yeah, well, they did one in London as well.
One in London.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but very limited.
Very, very limited.
And they actually built up a wall that they...
They did. They used an air cannon to blow it down. The big, huge brakes, probably about the size of this table.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, and they used an air cannon. They were made out of styrofoam.
Right, of course.
And air cannon blew it down at the end.
Yeah. Did they ever have any actual video of those shows?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I need to look into that. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah, they actually released an official release on DVD of the London show.
Okay.
Which was what they were going to use for the movie, but with newer technology, they were able to clean it up.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
The entire show is now available on
all
video.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just learn something.
There you go. All right. So hit us with some honorable mentions. There.
Yeah. So everybody out there is like, hey, you didn't name this or whatever.
Yeah.
David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, another kind of loose concept in a way, but very important album for its time. I think it was 1972. ELO, El Dorado.
Yeah.
Absolutely love the band, of course. You know that, so I won't go on and gush over that. It's a very cool album with a great concept. Highly recommend it. We already mentioned What's Going On. Yeah. Also, the Eagles had one.
That's right, yeah. Desperado, which I'm not sure of the storyline in that. I don't think there is a storyline, but there may be. It's they recorded that album wanting it to be more like a Western.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we didn't name that among our favorites because there's some stuff on there I didn't really like as well.
Yeah, same here.
It had some classics on it. I think Desperado's an amazing song.
I do too. One of the best songs ever written. And the Eagles are one of those bands. It's hard for me to really... I like certain songs a whole lot, but I just don't find myself wanting to hear them that often.
Right.
It's one of them things. I think they're brilliant, though, and I saw them in concert a couple times. They were amazing.
There you go.
The Moody Blues, In Search of the Lost Chord, Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick. I'm sure many of you out there are wondering, when are you going to say that? Genesis, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. There's a few that we hadn't...
Yeah, and a lot of these, don't really fit the rules we set,
Exactly.
There's a concept there, but it's not a story. All right, so let us know what you think. What is your favorite concept album? Drop it down in the comments. Did we miss one? Leave one out that you think we're idiots for not even considering.
Right.
Yeah, let us know. Chastise us down in the comments. That's what it's there for. It's for discussion.
And it's interesting going forward how, you don't see a lot of modern bands getting into the idea of concept albums. Is the attention span just too small in the era of ADD-ness?
it may be, yeah. And of course, with internet streaming, you can go in and you make your own greatest hits. You can make your own K-Tel collection now.
And it seems like single songs are more important. It's funny how we've talked so much on this channel about how music is like a revolving merry-go-round. It
is.
You see these same things in the same order a lot of the same times. But
I think a lot of it may have to do with instant gratification because now an artist can record a single and immediately release it.
Sure.
There's no more release dates. It's sent to radio stations ahead of time. They can play it before people can buy it.
Right.
That's gone now.
Right.
So because it's so easy to do, artists can push out a single right away.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Yeah.
All right, well, let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, please do. And let's play some trivia.
Let's go.
All right, time to test our knowledge with the trivia box.
Trivia box.
Yeah, let's draw one out of here and See how smart we are. I almost drew out that two that time. The subject is one-hit wonder. How are you going to do on this, you think?
I think I'll do very well.
Okay. Yeah, I think you are, because I just saw the beginning of the question. Axel F was a hit.
Harold Faltermeyer.
In 19... yeah, should we even... Yeah. That's what the question is. See what you did.
Draw another one.
You want to draw another one?
That
Let's
was
just
so
do that.
easy. Yeah.
Let's get a real challenge here.
Yeah.
The subject here is the 80s.
Okay.
What band had hits like Blood and Roses and A Girl Like You?
Smithereens.
Okay, yeah, the choices are... They throw you off with option A, is Guns N' Roses. Then Jeff Healey Band, Journey, and the Smithereens. And it's definitely the Smithereens.
Great band.
And we are right. I love the Smithereens.
Saw them a couple of times myself, and they were excellent. The singer passed away, right? Didn't he pass away?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I loved that album, and then I kind of quit paying attention to them, so I didn't hear if he passed away or
their
not.
better stuff was, that's probably their peak, but even the stuff before that was really, really good. Behind the Wall.
I was about to name that.
Amazing song.
Great song.
Absolutely amazing. So, if he's not dead, we're sorry, dude.
Come on our show.
Yeah. And not making fun of anybody who passed away. But
no, of course not.
And I love the band.
Yeah, they're fantastic. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back again with another episode very soon. Take care.
See you then.